So these were my battles with BostonSnorlax for a PvP draft in Master League. So here, the main thing that I was really worried about on his team was Swampert. Because the best that I have to deal with Swampert, oh yeah, and these are the teams, is Giratina. But he's got the Snorlax, and also Latios that are going to give Giratina a hard time. But then if I use Bite Tyranitar, then if he uses Articuno, I'm kind of screwed because SmackDown T-Tar just does such a good job against Articuno. So there are a lot of weird trade-offs I have to decide on. Not really any super safe leads. So this was a really tough one just in terms of figuring out what kind of lineup I want to do. And I knew I would have to adapt to whatever he ended up actually using to make sure that what I used made sense for that. Based on from game to game. But even then you have to be careful, right? Because just because somebody uses something in the first game doesn't mean they will in the second, so you don't know. So I decided to lead with Giratina. This was kind of my original plan, was lead with Giratina, use Groudon as a safe switch. I have Groudon with Fire Blast, because if Articuno is around, this is the only way I can actually hit it. He switches to Latios, which I know does have Solar Beam probably, so I want to be careful. But I can hit that Earthquake nice and early. Doesn't shield, so that's nice. I'm feeling pretty good about this because Latios was something that I was pretty worried about. Just from PvP poke and practice games, like I said, if you used Latios and Swampert in the same game, that's a lot of work for Giratina to do. That doesn't really look that great for me. Here, I begrudgingly shield just because it's it's just a Dragon Claw. I've got that Earthquake ready to go. Let's see what I run into, and it's a Swampert. Sure, let's do Earthquake. Trying to remember, I think there's something you need 2 Earthquakes to knock out a Swampert. Oh, I'm so close to the second one, and I get it. Hell yeah. Okay, so you need 2 Earthquakes to knock out a Swampert, but the Swampert needs 3 Hydro Cannons to knock out Groudon. So, I'm very grateful that there was a charge move priority kind of thing here, because this is a bunch of waste of energy for him, basically. And I just got to burn his shields. So I switched to Giratina, just as I'd like to. For Swampert, I switched to Tyranitar. Now, one thing about Snorlax is that I really don't know what charge moves it can have. Here, I was pretty sure that it didn't have that much energy, so that's why I didn't shield. But, it could have Earthquake, it could have Outrage, it could have Superpower. I really don't know. It's a tough call. So here, I don't shield, and I just barely survive. And I do manage to hit this crunch, although I get a bit of lag getting there. But I was honestly pretty lucky here, and probably would have been okay if I did shield. But it's just, I don't know, I think I was paranoid about making sure that my Giratina was okay for Swampert, so I didn't think I'd be able to, especially if it did, okay, yeah, you know what, I feel okay about that now, I guess. I don't know, spoiler alert, I do win this battle, so I guess whatever I did worked well enough. Although you always want to improve, figure out what the best, most accurate moves would have been, to use chess terminology, where it's okay, just because you did something and it worked out doesn't mean it's the best version of what you could have done. And now I'm just trying to get rid of this Swampert with my Giratina. And I'm in good shape. This Earthquake's going to hit me pretty hard, but I'll be okay. Now I get to do one last Dragon Claw just to seal the deal. So that's the first game down. I'm still not feeling great about this match, just because he's got a tough team, like I said. And he's figured out that Latios, Swampert, Snorlax trio is going to give me trouble. And I didn't see an Articuno. So for the second battle, I don't know if he will use an Articuno. Because if he does, then I want to keep Tyranitar in. But if he doesn't, then Tyranitar is kind of a weak spot on my team. So a lot of weird decisions to make. Here he opens with Latios, which was the one lead that he could give, honestly, that like I wasn't super sure of what to do with. I do keep Giratina, maybe against my best interest, because like I said, like I kind of want to save Giratina for Swampert if I can, but Latios is Latios, what can I do? If I did use Bite Tyranitar, then it would have been okay to switch, or not to switch to that, I guess, but to eventually try to line these up. But I wanted to have Smackdown there just for the other things on the team. I don't know, like I said, this is kind of a late game for making those kinds of moveset decisions. Even having Fire Blast on Groudon for Articuno at first was kind of like, oh no, what do I do for Swampert if I don't have Solar Beam? But I don't know, Earthquake still does a pretty good job, and it would just suck if I'm stuck against Articuno and I don't really have anything. So this was kind of some close calls. And even having Shadow Claw on Giratina, David was telling me that like if I do Dragon Breath, you know, that makes me better against Snorlax, but like I want to save Giratina for Swampert. So I don't know. It's interesting thinking about this kind of stuff. I do like having Groudon to do these big nukes. It's a tricky Pokemon to use just because of the fact that it's like a less insane Reggie almost. Like your fast move obviously does do a lot more damage than Lock-On does. But you have to... I was pretty lucky here with the superpower because I think having the defense and attack nerf saved me because I was able to farm a bit, still survive. But yeah, like these big nukes with Groudon aren't really easy to manage. I don't know. It's definitely not the easiest to figure out. So here I think I make the wrong decision. This was tough. I switched to Tyranitar thinking like maybe I'll be able to get something off. But I mean I use a couple Smackdowns. They don't really do anything. Obviously I don't get a charge move off. Hydro Cannon hits pretty hard. Keep trying to go for another one and I don't get another charge move, and now he's gonna knock me out. And I didn't really do that much. And I know my Giratina doesn't have that much health because I'd been using it earlier. And yeah, this is GG, unfortunately. So I would like to think that there is a version of this that I could have played that would have worked out well, but I think just starting out with that Latios versus Giratina lead just like puts me in a pretty rough spot. So I'm gonna have to think about that one a bit more. We do still have to do another round with like almost the same teams, so I don't feel like weird about having talked about my thought process, because whatever, if my opponents like learn from that, use that against me, good for them. But I don't know, it'll be interesting doing these battles again with almost the same teams, just to after like the mini draft where we kind of change some things, see what happens. This one I led with Granbull. It was a risky decision, but I thought, okay, if he's going to stick with that Latios, which seems to be working pretty well, then I'd better find a way to take it down. And so just having something that's going to resist, double resist, that Dragon Breath is going to help a lot. And I'm pretty happy with that decision. It's because now I have like Giratina versus Swampert. And again, like, yeah, that was a risky choice, but I mean, it's high stakes, right? It was like to get this third game wins me the match. So that was kind of one of those situations where it's like now or never. But this is comfortable. This is exactly what I wanted to happen. Giratina versus Swampert, so it's good for me. Good for me. Use a shield on that. Here I was like doing a pretty good job of counting the med shots, so I was pretty sure this was a hydro cannon, and I was right. It can be tough sometimes when you're counting moves when it's not the first move, because the very first move is easy because you just like round up for the energy, but after that you have to kind of keep, you have to keep decimals like in mind. It sounds so stupid, but it does make it just like a little bit trickier enough that sometimes when it's like the second charge move, you're gonna make those mistakes. Body slam here still hits pretty hard. Snorlax is like, I don't know, it's a real beast. I am glad that BostonSnorlax got his Snorlax, but it's definitely a difficult Pokemon to counter. I did get Snorlax in my Ultra League draft, and even though I didn't use it in most of the battles, it was still a lot of fun. You've got a lot of flexibility. You've got Body Slam Spam. That's basically always an option. And then all these other moves that you can use for coverage, so especially when I don't really know what's coming. So like at this point I know that it is going to be a superpower. When I don't really know what's coming, like at the very, very first battle, it can be really tough. Like imagine if I had like, I don't know, something like steel type. It's like, okay, is it going to be an outrage or is it going to be an earthquake or a superpower, right? Like a lot of weird choices you have to make. Here, obviously, I can't take this Hydro Cannon, but that's okay. Now I've got my Giratina. I had a bunch of energy already, so I can just knock it out with a Dragon Claw. Again, I think this battle really came down to me having the right lead and the right switches, because without that, like, it just would have been a disaster. I mean, think of if I didn't have Giratina versus Swampert. I don't have a great team for it otherwise. It's also kind of nice to finish this match, with a crunch on Granbull, just because, I don't know, I've been using Granbull here and there. Didn't really get to do too much, and so the fact that I actually got to hit the charge move is like a nice novelty. So these were great battles. Thanks, BostonSnorlax. I think I was shaking after these, though like I said, I don't know if it was because of the coffee I'd been having all day, so I don't know. Also, for the very last battle, I already edited that one. Forgot to put any geckos, so here's the gecko just crawling on me tonight after I did all my battles, and I just wanted to chill out. He's a very good climber. That's his whole thing. Oh, he's so sweet. Okay, that's it.